Google works with thousands of partner organizations around the world, all with the singular vision of helping our customers drive AI-led change. Today, we'll explore how we're drinking our own champagne by building AI solutions to simplify how partners work with Google and our customers. I'm joined today by Lakshmi Saranath to reveal how Google is agentifying the partner experience. I'm Salim Hasham. Welcome to the AI Vantage. Let's dive in. Beyond the AI hype lies your next big opportunity. I'm Salim Hasham, Director of AI Transformation at Google Cloud, where I bring more than 2 decades of working with CEOs and their leadership teams to deliver business impact. Join me as I sit down with the brightest minds from Google, our partners, and customers to share real-world stories and proven strategies for AI success. This is your seat at the table. Welcome to the AI Vantage. So Lakshmi, thanks for joining us in New York. Before we get into anything, I understand that you've made the long travel from the West Coast to the East Coast, and you were here for the Women in Channel event. Normally, we ask our guests to tell us a little bit about themselves, but I'm going to mix the two. So help us understand your journey, and how you sort of came to this point of working with AI in Google and being celebrated as a leader in channels.
First, thank you for having me. Yes, I love being in New York, and New York in December is magical. But yes, I was here for the CRN Women in Channel event. Brilliant. But let me give you a bit of my journey. I didn't grow up thinking I want to be in the channels. Actually, in fact, I had no idea there was a channel, there were roles related to this. I worked at Microsoft for a good long time, and I worked in product management. I worked in technical program management. I actually even did industry analysis and finance, so literally all over the map. I was good at what I did, but I don't think there was real passion. I liked it. So I happened to stumble across a partner incentives role, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I've never heard of something like this. So I thought I'd give it a shot at Microsoft, and that started the journey because something there clicked. That had a combination of strategy, it had operations, it had those go solve for those big problems, but it also had that element, the human element that kind of ties it all together. So I think that was the start of working in the partner ecosystem and things like that. But then when you kind of look back, there's a lot that it ties together. There's that, yes, there's the human element, but as companies, when we work with partners, our issues aren't dramatically different from what the partners have, right? We have complexity, issues of scale. So somewhere there, when we're working on these solutions, it's not for them, it's for us as well. And we're in this together. So that symmetry was just fascinating. And the whole idea of ecosystem, where it's fun because I explain to my kids what I do, and they're like, who do you work with and what do you do? So when you're trying to explain, saying, hey, you don't need to have that many salespeople, your partner, the ecosystem becomes the extension. They take your product, they run with it, they actually build on top of it and land it even better than we would have thought. So all of that put together, I think this is the passion, and I love what I do. So here I am.
So I know we're going to get into sort of the innovation that you're bringing in, and as my partner in crime on a daily basis, I'm seeing it happen, and it is fascinating. Maybe let's step back. Our audience are going to be partners who have the everyday challenge of working with an organization as large and as complex as Google, or their current or potential customers who understand that AI is different and will likely need them to think in a more ecosystem view. So maybe we can sort of step back and help people understand what an ecosystem is. What is a channel? How do these things work, and why are they necessary?
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant one, right? Like I said, the simplest way I'd kind of explain an ecosystem is you put all your partner population together, like your, VARs, your SIs, the smaller, RSIs, your GSIs, your ISVs, distributors. They become an extension of your sales force, and they take the product that you have, they kind of build on top of it. I'd want to say they pretty it up, and then they land it out, right? So that's kind of the ecosystem. And if, to go to your next part of your question, our goal here is to agentify the entire partner ecosystem. When I say that, it's not like, hey, let's build a tool here, let's build a tool there. No, it's dramatically transform partner and customer experience and land it to be very different from what it is today. And we do this, you know this, we do this constantly at Google. I'll bring in an example that might make it a little bit more real. We have something called as a statement of work analyzer. So, if you're a Google partner, every time, a partner sends in a funding request to us, it goes through this statement of work analyzer, looks to see if that paper matches all the requirements we have. But just to put it in context, right before we had this, we have thousands of partners, which basically means we are dealing in a crazy amount of volume of SOWs that come into us, right? Literally took about like half a dozen or more humans 5 to 7 days at a minimum to review and approve.
A minimum.
Yeah, at a minimum. But if you're a partner, what does that do to you? You're basically waiting eternity to start a migration project because we are like sitting here to approve it, right? But with the SOW Analyzer, it's a matter of minutes. The magic happens right there. So the beauty of it is this is not just for our partners. Internally, we use exactly the same thing. So, we're drinking our own champagne in a way, right? But the reason I kind of say that is as we work on agentifying the ecosystem, it's not like we're building something, just, a tool which is sitting there. We're pretty much like delivering enterprise grade product after all the battle testing that can be done because we're internally using it too. So that's the fun part there.
And as you say, and there are sort of two forces at work, right? One is the sheer growth. Google, I think when I joined 5 years ago compared to what it is now, breakneck speed, the scale with which it grows, I think is, to me, still dumbfounding. On the other side, I think there is AI, right? And so in a world of cloud, in a world of infrastructure, somewhat standardized. I personally feel the cloud has turned all of that on its head. So I'd like to understand, how is cloud different? And when our partners think about working with us, what are the implications for that?
The simpler way to kind of look at it is we're looking at it as a threefold approach. What we are doing with AI is we're basically democratizing access of AI, right? Like you're taking something that's enterprise grade, we're breaking it down, and it's like partner size, shape, no bar. Like everybody gets to use the same. And that is huge. Like if you rewind back and look like even 2 years ago, if you were a big player, then you had the resources that got you there. But today we've kind of like that, that barrier does not exist at all. And which also takes away the amount of investment that's needed. You don't need a huge data, well, technically with a lot of this stuff, you don't need a huge data science team. The investment in infrastructure can come down. And we're kind of like leveling the playing field, if you were to call it. And then to our point, like I started this by saying, we want to kind of infuse AI across every single fabric of the ecosystem. So we don't do, standalone tools. We're like, hey, at every point, if you're onboarding the entire partner-customer journey, we're infusing AI at every bit. So if you look at our roadmap, a lot of this is out and some of it is in production. So if you look at our roadmap, that's the weave that we want to get it to. And, lastly, it's how much of intelligence and the real, metrics that we get out there. So today, your big, small, medium, all your partners have the same amount of telemetry in terms of like, what's the market trend data looking like? What's the customer, behavioral analysis looking like? And where can they go and where should their next step be? All of that is just given to you, handed to you. You don't need like added group of analysts like looking at that, right? So that put together is that's our main goal. Like when we do these three things right, we've kind of leveled the playing field, and then that becomes the fun job. Like, every partner looks for their unique opportunity, but they have the things that basically get them to the next step.
And so we tell our partners and our customers that AI is different because you have to step back and really think about the value chain, right? So it's not a technology problem. Mm-hmm. As you looked across the ecosystem, which is really complex, right? How do we help partners understand where they should focus? How do we help them think about building capabilities, so the enablement question? How do we help them skill the right way? How do we help them connect with the field? How do we help them, vision, design, contract, and execute? Mm-hmm. How did you think about where AI would have the biggest impact? What was the approach that you took?
Yeah, for us, it was kind of sort of simple, right? Like our problems and the partners' problems are dramatically different. So operational inefficiency is like top line for everything. When you look at it, it's cost expensive, and that is the core thing which kind of impacts like customer satisfaction as well. So what I want to say 2024, we piloted this pre-sales program primarily for our advisory partners. The whole concept of that was to take us away from proof of concept to proof of impact, and it was you know this, we've talked about it, but our whole idea was to say, what can we do which is real in terms of like you're working with real world problems, real people in there, and you're landing this. And it was interesting that it's the concept to actually adding value and the final outcome is all within 12 weeks. And we've had about 150, I was corrected, so I thought it was 150. It's 159 projects year to date with impressive ROI, right? Like I'll give you an example. We had this facilities company that we worked with. They get about like thousands and thousands of work orders in a day from all their clients. And their biggest pain point was operational inefficiency, like reroute all of these work orders that came in, most of them were routed incorrectly. And when they had like high level escalations, again, that routing was incorrect. So what it led to was just utter confusion to start with, but also was costing them in terms of both dollars and just overall customer sat. Our solution to that was, yes, we infused AI in a lot of stuff, but we kind of divided into two parts, right? Like, how do we address the incoming, the work orders that come in, the routing of that? And then the second part of it was to say all these escalations and stuff, like it was AI infused to say, where are these escalations routed? Let's make sure it's not routed the wrong way. But the end result of it, like, if you kind of look back, it clearly says that AI is not here for just incrementality, right? Like it's here to do all these transformational changes. So in this particular example, it went from like what was their day-to-day struggle and problem to like now that's their competitive advantage because we've kind of turned that around. So things like that, and that happens like, think of this as 159 times such use cases. And that kind of like gives you the thing saying, hey, how is AI like dramatically changing? It's dramatically changing, but for real problems and real people problems that we're dealing with.
And so that program feels very different to what a traditional channel would do. But let me just make sure I've got this right. So kind of three principles, right? One, find those real business problems, crack those problems, and deliver ROI, but in 12 weeks. I'd love to sort of have you reflect on that. But it sounds to me like it's more around getting Google and the partner and the ecosystem to focus on outcomes, not contracts.
Yep.
And so that feels to me like a very different way of thinking about it. Just help us understand that a bit.
Yeah, in some ways we are moving towards that world of like 2 years ago, it was all about POCs and pilots, right? That's a little bit of an old school now. We're moving into MVPs, where MVPs are translating into like your closed one deal, and then it goes into production right there. That happens where there's a real issue, a real world problem, because you can actually quantify the impact. So that's kind of how we see this. And this program, yes, it's not for every set of partners, but it is opened up for like niche set of partners, but we've seen impressive value add that comes out of it. And there's an equal amount of skin in the game for everybody. Like it's not just like, the vendor or the partner or the customer. It's a tripart that plays a role here.
And what's the benefit for the partners? As our sort of audience will be, in some part full of people who are either partners or want to be partners. How should they think about engaging Google? This is one example of innovation, but more broadly, what are we doing to help think about their growth?
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant one, right? Like the biggest thing here is everything that we're putting out to the partners, we're using it. So it's almost like you have the best beta testers in the world. We're using it not for like, let's test it before we put it out. That is our day-to-day job. So I run operations, and our operations team use exactly the same stuff that we put out there, right? So when they get something out, that has been tested to the core. And, virtue of that, there's like this incredible feedback loop because our internal team uses it. When there are issues or other opportunities to build on, that goes top of our roadmap. So that gets built. And because our challenges, issues, however you look at it, are kind of the same, we're in it together. We're building for like the same kind of future or like, to eliminate all these issues and stuff. So when our partners get a product like that, they're probably getting like enterprise grade product, which is quality tested, and their success is our success, and we move in together that way.
And so I know in early in the new year we launched our new partner program, and we sort of rethought our incentives. And so what was the main thrust behind that? And as we look forward, how are you thinking? Like, where is innovation going to continue to drive value?
Yeah, for us, our goal is pretty simple. Like I said at the beginning, we will agentify the entire experience. Yes, it's a matter of time, but we're not doing this by ourselves, right? Like every time we build something, or there's the new program that you mentioned, or even like incentives, every single time it's a co-designed effort. So it's not us like in an ivory tower or sitting and designing something. We work closely with our partners, and that has been significant. That's been significant in terms of it's putting the best minds together to work, right? Like it's infrastructure that you build, or the program that you kind of like come up with, and each of us have our best interests in mind while we do that. So yeah, beginning of the year we talked about co-sell and service reg being a huge part of our program, and then incentives in our investment funds. As we've added agentification across the process, we've heard from partners 5 years ago when I first started, all my support tickets were like, oh my goodness, like I got a check in the mail and I have no idea what you're paying me for. We have this thing called Earnings Hub today. That is like the top rated stuff that we have. It started off like a bank statement. Like when they say, hey, I get a check and I don't know what I'm paid for, we were like, at least let's show them what they're getting paid for, right? But the last couple revs of it has been impressive. Like it's AI infused to the brim, that it does not only tell you like what you've made, but what you can make. What are you leaving on the table? What are partners in your cohort making? And if there's a partner, and we look at segment level data, we look at partner customer segment data to say if there's a customer whose consumption is dipping, you give them a heads up way ahead, and also it gives you more insight into like what should be done to get it up there, right? So a lot of this, like when you look at these work like in a piecemealed way, this is like tons and tons of humans involved, and now it's like matter of minutes and it's real time that's available. So even for us who've kind of been in the industry, like if I were to compare a year ago and now, it's night and day.
It sounds like sort of moving from service administration, which is just contracting and billing, and what I'm hearing you say is it's almost sort of saying, hey, how do we become deeper business partners? Can we help our partners find the signals of demand, right? Where should they be focusing? Can we help them build skills? Can we help take the pain out of the whole engagement and negotiation process? And ultimately, even around incentives and payments, where are these best placed and how do we make them easy to consume? And so if you bring that all together, what makes the vision that you have and I imagine what Google is building distinctive in the market?
I think for us, it's like because we use the same products that we are putting out in the market, it's built for the mutual benefit, but it's built with the partner in mind and built with the partner. Like we're co-designing every bit of it. The second one that we'd say is like, we're kind of like rooting for each other's success here. So it's not like us versus you, but it's like all of us in this together. And the last one I'd say is like, it's a learning process. And we are in this together. We're learning every step of the way. Because we have this co-design element, we'll hear from partners saying, hey, you know what? Like, I don't think that was the best idea. But it's not like, no one's pointing a finger at you. Like, at that point in time, we thought that was great. Let's work on looking at it differently. And it's funny because like, I remember back in the days when I'd worked with engineering, it was like black or white. Hey, you give me the requirements, I'll tell you what's to be built. But they are interested. They'll sit with us in these co-design sessions and they're like, yeah, that's a brilliant one. So it's not just showcasing the brilliant technology, but it's building it for them. And that has been a game changer for us. And I think that's kind of like uniquely Google in some way.
And how is that helping our partners evolve? And maybe that's through the adoption of AI or just reacting to the need that AI just means we have to think differently. And then ultimately, what impact does that have on our customers?
So the thing is, our end goal, like Google or our partners, is like, let's make sure our customers get, we have their best interest and get, things should land well that way, right? So in a lot of this, the program that we just talked about, it's tripart. So we are all like mutually vested in this. And ultimately, the things that we are doing are for the customer's benefit. So we kind of like work that in every element of it, like be it process redesign or like a program that goes out, or even like funding mechanism or deal structuring. Everything is with the customer in mind because like ultimately that's our barometer for success.
And how do we measure that success? I mean, it sounds to me like the velocity is up, the strategic depth is up, a focus on outcomes. These all sound conceptually quite interesting, but how do we measure that success?
One is, hey, like everything else, like, even in retail sales, it's repeat customers and partners, right? So we have, that's the biggest thing. And we have numerical success measures like ROI and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's those customer stories, the success and the win stories. When we do stuff which is adding real, working on real issues, real cases, and bring that real fulfillment, that's kind of like priceless. You don't put a tag on that, right? So when we look at it, for us, that's been an eye-opener in the last year or so. As we've looked at how things are being agentified through the process, we're seeing real-world impact. And that's, when things happen with customer A, customer B, there's CDE that's following, and that's kind of like the trickle chain reaction in some way.
Fantastic. And so let's end with, to me, the most interesting question. And so if AI could teach you a skill, what would that be?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Oh, I've actually thought of this. So my 13-year-old can find TikTok videos from like 3 months ago, 6 months ago in like less than a second. But he, for the life of him, can't find his own shoes when we're already like 10 minutes late. So my question to AI would be like, hey, if you're looking at all these data points and data sources, you can surely look at a teenager's mind to kind of like, figure out where is this, kind of like blindness, which is very specific to things that are right in front of your eyes. So that's one. But, in all seriousness, I'd probably have AI like teach me work-life balance, more in terms of like, what is that fine line of like, where do I push myself and where do I like push back and like, hey, not do this anymore. I think once I can internalize that, that's going to be like you'll see a happier, healthier, and even more productive version of me.
I'll take that as well.
Yeah.
So we can probably solve quantum physics, but can we demystify the mind of a 13-year-old?
Yeah, that when you find that, hey, that is the next Nobel Prize winning whatever. So, yeah.
Lakshmi, thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thanks, Salim. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next AI Vantage. Thank you for tuning in to the AI Vantage. Be sure to follow us on social. If you're interested in learning more about the Google Partner Ecosystem, visit the address on the screen below. Remember, the best way to predict the future is to build it. See you next time.